My girlfriend was kidnapped from me by her own parents and forced to marry someone 40 years older than her. That's right, a forced marriage. But guess what? I wasn't gonna go down so easy. So, I'm a 26-year-old male. I was dating this girl who's 25, we'll call her M. We've been dating for over a year, but she came from a very, very strict Indian family. She said she was lucky that they allowed her to work, and that they would be extremely against her dating someone that they wanted her to get married to a guy of their choosing. We met at college, ended up at the same company, and we had sex several times, which she said was a big no-no. She said she wanted to keep it a secret, which I did. 8 months ago, out of the blue, I received a message from her. It said we were done and she did not want to contact her ever again. We hadn't had a fight. In fact, we had a romantic dinner just the night before. And yet, I got this message? I called her several times, sent her text messages and everything. I even planned to go to her house to talk to her, but decided against it due to her family. I even tried calling some friends of hers, but they just said that she's ghosted them too. I was heartbroken, and after 2 months, I decided to get back out there, but just could not find something with the same spark. I had basically given up on dating and started focusing on my career. And I recently even landed a very high-paying job. I was happy, yet lonely. 3 days ago, I got a message from one of her friends. She said M was at her place and has been there for nearly a week, and she was asking to meet with me. I was hesitant and asked her if she was playing a cruel joke on me after the way we broke up, to which the friend broke down crying to my surprise, and said she could not explain over the phone. I went there in a hurry, and sure enough, M was sitting right there. She looked thinner, a bit pale, and very, very sad. She saw me, started crying, and hugged me, then we sat down to talk. She said her family seen us together, and when she went home that night she was yelled at. She lives in a big joint family, so her parents, grandmom, 3 uncles and aunts, and about 13 cousins live under the same roof. She said they took away her phone and prevented her from going to work or contacting anyone. They said that they had pressured her into telling them how far our relationship has gone. And when it was revealed that she wasn't a virgin, her family went berserk. They shifted her from their rural village and arranged her marriage with a family friend who was 65. And when she tried to refuse, they threatened to kill her. She said she played along for a month and that a week or so ago, the marriage date was decided to be in September. She said she told her family she wanted to spend some time with her to-be husband, and managed to slip away, after which she took a train to get back here. I had shifted to a bigger house and wasn't on social media, so she did not know where I was, and she went to her friends. She stayed there for a few days, resting and crying, worried her family would find her before asking to meet me. I have no idea what to do here or how to proceed. I love her and I'm willing to be there for her, but I have absolutely no idea how this could go, or what legal steps we could even take. Okay guys, Mr. Reddito here, so it took some digging, but I did find the complete update for this story, so sit back, grab your favorite beverage, and smash that like button right now to support the channel. Here's the update of the story. So, a while ago, I made a post on here asking for help, because my girlfriend was being forced to marry someone she did not want to. This is the update. We got married. We married in an Arya Samaj Mandir, which is just a way of saying we got married the fastest way possibly legal. Got the marriage certificate and made the legal adjustments, changing details on the passport, card, etc. Now she's seeing a therapist and is mentally better, isn't that scared now. Her family did find out and did try to lodge a case that I was holding her against her will, or that she's brainwashed by me. But an affidavit, thanks to someone's fantastic advice, disapproved all that. Her brother did send me some threats, and her dad actually tried to enter my house. But in the end, they had no choice but to accept it and left to go to their hometown. Me and my wife blocked them on everything, and we haven't had any contact for them from a while now. So we don't think they'll be a problem anymore. Now that all the legal craziness and family drama has been dealt with, we're going to start adjusting as husband and wife. We're planning a proper wedding celebration with all our friends, who are basically our family. We also are going on a honeymoon soon, and I'm glad that things worked out as well as they could for us. And I'm going to look forward to spending the rest of my life with a fantastic woman. So this one was a crazy story, but let me explain why it was so crazy. I was reading in the comment section, and it turns out these arranged marriages in India do happen more often than they should. And also, there was a lot of people who were fearing for her life, saying that the family could still come back and kill her. Apparently, it happens a lot when the girl in India goes against the wishes of her family. I don't know. If anyone watching is from India, let me know in the comment section down below. Is it really as bad as this story makes it seem? I would genuinely like to know. So drop your thoughts on that, and we're going to go ahead and look at our second story of the day. Entitled Mother Attempts to Hit My Mom at Burger King. Gets stopped by me and my brother, and then gets kicked out of the place. My name's Mr. Reddito. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing, as we read daily stories, and it would be great if you joined us. Here comes story number 2. So, this story happened back in 2012. I tend to have a good memory for details, but since this happened 8 years ago, I don't remember the dialogue exactly as it happened. The story is also pretty short, so there's that. So, as I mentioned before, this happened in 2012. I was 15 at the time and my little brother was 11. We used to live in the US, pretty much in the middle of the country. One random day, my mom picked me up and my brother from our schools, and decided to take us to a Burger King that was pretty close to where we lived at the time. We got there, got off the minivan, went inside, and it was pretty empty. Maybe 3 or 4 people eating. One guy at the cash register, the cooks and the manager in the back, and the security guard outside. As soon as we walked up to the place, in comes the Karen, entitled mother of this story with her small child. Maybe around 5 or 6 years old. Now, I mentioned earlier that I have a good memory for details, and this woman made me so enraged that I remember pretty much exactly what she looked like. Blonde, shoulder-length blonde hair with bad highlights. Very skinny, wearing a casual business suit with a neon pink shirt underneath, and big-ass sunglasses up to her head. And high heels. I swear, we haven't taken more than 10 seconds deciding what to order, before she pushed her way in front of us and demanded to order first. My mom obviously got angry and told her to wait. But this woman wasn't having it. The wild Karen started straight up screaming at my mother that she deserves to order first, and my mom, while usually the sweetest woman you'll ever meet, is a Latina. Although she doesn't look like it, and as a Latina, has what my dad likes to describe as raging fire o' fighting spirit, and wasn't gonna let some random woman bully her into submission. So, when Karen realized that my mother wasn't going to back down, she decided to raise her fist and attempt to hit my mom. Before this, while the screaming fight was going on, my brother was trying to calm down my mom, and I was trying to talk sense into the giant entitled woman baby in front of me. But as soon as we saw that this woman was going to hit our mother, we immediately put ourselves between them, and I raised my hand to catch that woman's fist. I was so prepared to fight back. If she so much as managed to touch my sweet, beautiful mother. At 15 years old, I was about 1.75 meters tall. So, not that tall at the time, but definitely big enough so that she couldn't just get past me. While the fighting was going on, the cashier dude went to the back to get the manager, and the security guard ran in to grab Karen by her arms. The manager proceeded to tell her to leave the premises of the restaurant. The security guard let her go, and she, her poor child, and her giant butt sunglasses left the place. My mom, happy as could be that both their children defended her for what could have been a physical fight, and bragged to all my family and her friends about this. The manager also gave us one of those Hershey cheesecake ice cream pie things. It was for our troubles. Did somebody say Hershey's sweet cheesecake? Oh, my favorite. I think the entire Karen thing would have been A-okay with me if I knew I was going to get cheesecake in the end of it. But seriously, guys, let me know. If you've ever been out at Burger King, McDonald's, Walmart, heck, even a gas station, and you've seen a Karen in the wild, let me know the story. Drop it down below, as Karen stories are one of my favorite. Okay guys, we still have one more story left in today's video. The title is, When I Thought I Finally Received the Medical Attention for My Seizures. This is an intense story, guys, so let's get right to it. My parents used to collect me from school up until I was 15. And that was all for the sole reason of not wanting me to go home on my own, and to have a seizure on the way because they did not want someone to call the ambulance. They thinking me getting a diagnosis would tarnish their reputation. I developed seizures after I had a head injury at 13, and ever since they were just getting worse. Now, my parents tried to cover the fact that I wasn't receiving medical attention to the school by trying to convince them that it's fake, and they did not bother and ended up believing my parents. Due to COVID, they had a meeting with me and my parents before the start of the academic year, when I was going to year 13. The vice principal and the director of KS5 said that if I had a seizure, I will not be allowed to come back to school, and will have to carry on from home for the rest of the year. Although they knew all about the abuse I was suffering from my parents for years, and the fact that they've tried to kill me, and so many other things. They also said that they will write that I have seizures on the reference given to universities, so it'll lower the chance of me going into medicine. They then said if I don't have a seizure that I'll continue through the year and they won't have to write that in the reference. I was traumatized after that. I was genuinely traumatized. After like 2 weeks in school in mid-September, I had a seizure in further maths class. The teacher was insinuating that I was in my last day and that's it. I was panicking. My parents are strict and they would trap me at home, and I wasn't allowed internet, had no phone, nor allowed out. Basically isolated from the whole world. There was a Sainsbury's next to my house, and I went there to calm down a little. I'm not even allowed to be late or go anywhere. I had to go straight home. I then ended up having a seizure there. An ambulance was called, and that was the first time I was like to myself, oh my gosh, I'm going to finally have medical attention for my seizures. Although I was scared like hell from my parents about what they're going to do once they know I'm receiving treatment. After recovering, I email my friend using my school email address and using the laptop that we have to take school, saying to them how worried I am, explaining to them my situation. My dad hacks that email and reads everything. The hospital decides to keep me overnight for observation, and I asked them if they're informing my parents, and they said yes 3 times. The next day, I call my mom using the hospital phone to have an idea of how furious they really are. Then they start accusing me of not telling them where I am. I told them the hospital staff told me they informed them, and I gave the phone to the nurse too and they confirmed it. Plus, my mom had information about what happened since she would have had no other way of knowing about them if no one called her from the hospital. After I got discharged, my parents take me home and my dad gives me death threats and starts yelling at me saying how I ruined the family name and all sorts, and how he hates me and wants me dead. He then prints the emails too. Since I'm not allowed to make friends or speak to anyone, they tried to get me in trouble. He hit me a couple times and abused me a lot emotionally. I genuinely felt like killing myself at that moment. We had a meeting on Friday that week with the school about considering me to stay in school, but with a reduced timetable. My parents then decide to get the emails out and show it to the vice principal, accusing me of not abiding to the school rules, because emails should only be used for school purposes only. Like my parents cared, they just wanted me in trouble. They also told the staff about how apparently I did not inform them when I stayed in the hospital, and said it was my fault. I don't even have a phone to call you with. Whose fault is it then? Then, ever since, when I received hospital appointments after social services closed the case, he forced me to cancel them. And when social services were involved, he always forced me to delay the appointment. Then I ended up canceling it. So I did not receive treatment for years until I just ran away 4 months ago. So this story was a little off to me. I don't understand how a child this young and was having seizures in public cannot be forced by the law or government or someone to get medical help. How can the parents just ignore this? I don't know. That was one big red flag type thing that I just couldn't wrap my head around. But anyways, let's go ahead and read one of the comments. I'm so sorry. I also suffer from seizures after a head injury at 12 years old. That's hard enough on its own, let alone having to struggle to be your own advocate. Please don't ever be afraid to speak up for yourself. Please be safe. Seizures cause a lot of fear because our bodies go into a panic state. Please don't ever blame yourself. All the love from this internet stranger. Guys, this was actually a sad/heartwarming story. I'll be monitoring this closely to see if there's any updates on this. That's all the content I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed it. As always, I try to find some of the coolest stories to read to y'all. It's hard to find stories sometimes, but I try my best. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow.